Hola, it's Caipacho with the Weekly Pele Report. This is an astrological report for Wednesday, June 24th of the year 2020. We are still in the eclipse season, you know. There was a lunar eclipse on June 5th. We had just had that solar eclipse, very powerful, okay, a couple days ago. And now we are going to also be coming up to another lunar eclipse on July 5th. So they call that an eclipse season. It's a time of extreme, powerful change and transformation. So I hope that you're hanging in there, you know, and this is all okay for you. We've got a few things going on right now. The moon is in Leo, okay, squared Uranus this morning. Maybe you had a little surprise. And tomorrow, Thursday, she goes into Virgo, you know, for a couple of days. While she's in Virgo, obviously, she'll oppose Neptune. And then make a nice trine up there to the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. Earth, 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 Earth. And then she's going to go into Libra and square the Sun. Okay, do a little opposition to Mars. You know, and go into then a square, okay, to the Jupiter-Pluto-Saturn. You know, that's going on for quite some time. So besides that, you know, Venus is over there in Gemini, stationing at the 5th, you know, 5 degrees, like 20 minutes of Gemini right now. Okay, and she's going to sit there, you know, for like a whole day. And then she's going to finally go direct. Woo! Been a long time since we had a Venus direct. Wow. So we're going to talk about that. She's just sitting still. Yeah. And, you know, what else is happening? Well, the big change that I also want to talk about today is just that Mars is moving into the sign of Aries. He is coming home, but before he does that, he is going to square the moon's nodes. And he's moving pretty slow. That's going to be at least a couple of days. You may be feeling it now. Fiery emotions. And that's going to go on Thursday, Friday, and then on Saturday, he's going to go into Aries. Yeah. So that's going to be a big shift. He's going to stay there till like January. So it's like very, very intense time period. And I made it up here to the yoga platform. This has got a very nice view. It was a little noisy at the river last week, so I thought that I would come up here to alegriavillage.com. It's my buddy Stephen Brooks is developing this real estate here, and I was going to start down there in the garden. The garden. Yeah, baby. I'm gonna call this one the Garden Report. Yeah. That moon in the sun in Cancer. Growing those veggies. Getting together with some familia. Yeah, Mercury retrograde in Cancer. We can talk about that a little bit, right? And last but not least, let's also talk about what? Jupiter conjunct Pluto for the second time. Jupiter, they're both retrograde. Jupiter's moving a little faster, though. We've got a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. Pluto's transformation. Jupiter is great. A time of great transformation. Let me look at the camera and talk about it. Okay. All right, well, let's talk about what's going on. What is going on? Well, like the mantra for today says, a lot is going on with our thoughts, our thinking, our inquiry, our investigation, the moon's nodes, super important signals of destiny. Okay, collectively and individually, whenever we do chart readings, we look at the north node of the moon as the future destiny. of the soul, what the soul is seeking for the future, the north node of the moon. It's in the sign of Gemini for a year and a half. It's a long time, 18 months. Okay, it's going to be there for a while. It's only been there for a month or so. And the eclipses are happening, you know, right on these nodes. The south node of the moon is exactly opposite. It's at the 29th degree right now of Sagittarius. They go backwards. Yeah? The 29th degree is a critical degree. And of course, then when Mars comes in to square the moon's nodes, it is at what? 29 degrees of Pisces. Squaring Gemini, squaring Sagittarius. 29 degrees of Pisces is the last degree of the zodiac. It's all over. It's done. A full cycle is complete. According to the natural horoscope, Pisces is the 12th sign. It rules the 12th house. Mars is going into Aries, the first sign that rules the first house. So we're in this big transitional point. Mars, I do, I act, I desire, I want, has been hanging out in Pisces conjunct Neptune, you know, kind of swimming along, you know, like the leaf on the river a little more, because, you know, Pisces is the collective unconscious. The individual will gets a little lost and confused by chaos in the collective unconscious, carried on by external events. But now, no more. I want to read to you the Sabian symbol for the last degree of the zodiac. It's very, very powerful, because Pisces is also what I always say, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. It is the infinite potential, the dream, the fantasy, the image, the ideal that we dream, and then it comes out of Pisces into Aries, and it's time to make it real. It's time to do it. No more dreaming about it, okay? No more fantasizing, or no more getting carried along, but time to initiate. And it's really something at this time to initiate with what? Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Pluto retrograde, Venus retrograde until today. It's just like, whew. It's a very interesting dynamic. So a lot of this retrograde is repair, remodel, reflect, redo. Okay, so a lot of this could be that, you know, change begins with me. It'd be nice if people focused on changing themselves and prepare a little more. What I say is, you know, July, August, September, we still got this, you know, retrograde stellium going on, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. But they will go direct in late September. And that is really when things are really going to be starting to move forward. But for right now, let's read about this, because it's an interesting degree. And again, if you don't know this book by now, okay, it's my favorite book by Dane Rudhyar, An Astrological Mandala. Yeah? A majestic rock formation resembling a face is idealized by a boy who takes it as his ideal of greatness. And as he grows up, begins to look like it. The keynote is the power of clearly visualized ideals to mold the life of the visualizer. In a biological sense, it is the power latent in all seeds, the power to produce and guide the growth of the future plant. A most fitting symbol for the last phase of the cyclic process. Within the end of the cycle, the seed of a new beginning exists in potency. unless the entire cycle has proven to be a failure. Well, that remains to be seen. We could blow ourselves up like Atlantis. That would signal that the whole cyclic process was a failure, like 10,000 years of human history kind of, but I don't think so, But it is a time of like major transformation. Jupiter conjuncting Pluto. The last time Jupiter came, so Jupiter comes by, it hits Pluto April 4th. Okay, this is like when the pandemic is just kind of like taken off, April, boom, big, Jupiter, death, Pluto, right? Many deaths, right? Great transformation. So, and then, now it's retrograde and it's coming back over Pluto. It's going to go direct in, like I say, September, and then it's going to come back and it's going to hit Pluto again closer to October, November, something, yeah? So, it's this threefold pass. I've talked about these whole retrogrades before. It's the same with this Mercury retrograde. It kind of goes up. We go to a point. We learn something new. We experience something new. We have a new dream. We want to start a new business. We get a new impulse. And then, we need to modify, we need to rectify, we need to remodel and reshape our lives to adjust, to fit the new ideal, the new picture, the new car, the new couch, the relationship, the new something into our existing life. So we're just kind of in this process, right? From April to September of, okay, I got to figure out a way to, still make a living with this virus and in the midst of lockdown, or I still need to find a way to have some fun when I'm supposed to wear a mask and stay home. I need to change my life. I mean, this is life changing. Now the Sun and Mercury are in Cancer. Home, roots, family, the past, feeling, cooking, changing. Okay, cooking is alchemy. This is inner alchemy happening. So this is really a time of, deep reflection on what are my ideals? What do I idealize? Who do I look up to, or who do I ideally want to be? And here's the big catch, right? This Mars square the moon's nodes in evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green, says that, planets that square the moon's nodes are skip steps. This is in a natal birth chart, but in the transits, I think it holds the same. Mars is making a 90-degree square from the south node, the past, moving towards the north node, the future. And this is a critical turning point that says we've got to pay attention. We've got to do Mars in Pisces. We've got to cut the cords. We've got to let go of some of the past in order to go forward. It's like you can't have it all. Things that have got you this far, maybe they're not meant to get you any farther. And you can't, infuse the future and then carry the past. It's too much. So in some ways, we can be having too much. This can be a time where we are overwhelmed with sacrifices, with responsibilities, with people getting sick, with having to take care of family members, or, mom and dad move in, or the kids get sick, or this, family. This is a lot of pressure going on here as, Aries, Mars is going to be moving into Aries. And it's going to, still be squaring the sun for the rest of this weekend, I would say. We're going to be feeling it. And we're going to be feeling it in terms of anxiousness, maybe some anger and some frustration, because we're not free to do whatever we want, say whatever we want, go wherever we want, be whatever we want. It's like, So Mars in Aries, it's going to be hitting Chiron very shortly, right? Basically it's conjunct Chiron as soon as it enters Aries. So, we're dealing with potency, with impotency, with, what we can do and be and express. And when that doesn't happen, there can be anger and rage. And that rage can be a volcano that blows up in our face. Myself and all the other astrologers have been saying for some time, this Mars in Aries is going to go retrograde in Aries. It's going to be there for 6 months. It's going to be squaring the Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn later on. And this is a time where wars break out. This is a time where people want to prove that they're free, or they can't stand being isolated or quarantined or locked down. I read this morning they shot 2 5G tower workers, right? Just like the fireworks are going off all over the place. The people, it's like the water is boiling. We're reaching kind of a nexus where the tipping point is about to tip. And this is part of a much longer process, is all I can say. And right now the time is, and this is what it's like the need to know why is the key that opens the door. The future right now is the North Node in Gemini. And Gemini is curious. It wants to read about. It wants to watch documentaries about. It wants to check out this doctor and this YouTube and this government speech and this conspiracy theory and this This is a time. I just want us to, I encourage everybody, okay, to gather all the information. We still don't know. Science doesn't know, the politicians don't know, even the astrologers don't know everything about this virus, everything about what is coming, the causes, the solutions. This is, so it would be premature to make definite statements, definite judgments, take definite actions without having all the information. This is where we get into trouble. With the south node of the moon, K2, the dragon's tail, a point of karma in Sagittarius. And if we get into the shadow of Sagittarius, it is that I want to convince, convert, or condemn. You either believe what I believe, because my opinions are true and right and I know everything. This is too much. The shadow is premature judgment and possibly some, forms of, arrogance that just, condemn other people who don't agree with me or don't believe what I believe or don't see things the way that I see them, so they are wrong. And they need to be executed or, excluded, excommunicated, cut out, slammed, so, this is a time where that shadow prematurely, jumps out at things. So we're still in what I consider a gathering phase. So this North Node in Gemini wants to gather. Retrograde Mercury wants to gather. Okay, and retrograde Jupiter, Pluto really wants to gather and understand the laws, the natural laws around conditions, places, people, and then we can go forward having a solid, common understanding and footing. Prior to that, without the correct or information or the needed, necessary information, it's all theoretical. It's all possible. We can't really say for sure this, that, or the other thing. And so, we get into more fighting, arguing, wars. whether it's the China Sea, the China-India border, or, you know, the wall between Mexico and the United States, or Black Lives Matter. There's all kinds of conditions and situations that we can fight about. So when we look at the mantra today, you know, like the farmer sowing seeds, I expect for them to grow. If they don't, my need to know why is the key that will open the door. The door to a greater perception, the doors of understanding. Okay? It's like when I get married and I just have this ideal that, you know, love will heal all wounds until death do us part or whatever, you know, and then it doesn't grow or it doesn't go the way that I thought. I need to dig deeper. What is the cause? Why is this not working? I have a child. Okay, and the child is not happy in school, or, you know, doesn't have any friends, or, you know, is having trouble with this, that, or the other thing. My need to know why helps me to understand my child, helps me to understand the nature of being human. Okay, when the police department doesn't serve the needs of the population, we need to know why, and we need to investigate. Okay, and when we investigate, then we see what needs to be changed and modified. When all kinds of people get sick and the hospitals and the healthcare and the medicine doesn't heal them, we need to search, we need to discover, we need to investigate. And then we find out, we could do the healthcare system differently. We could do insurance differently. We could even teach medicine differently. Maybe we'll come up with a holistic approach, right? That's, you know, not allopathic and it doesn't involve shooting us up with some chemicals or something. Maybe there's other alternatives. So investigation, this is what Gemini is all about. So it's really a very good time. It's very potent. This is a very potent time where we can penetrate into the mysteries of life and death and the natural laws that govern all life and all evolution and all growth. So it's tough. Just like an exam or, you know, school or, you know, whatever, you know, you got to learn something, you know, in order to keep your job. You know, I mean, the pressure is on. But when we get out of this pressure, we're going to be wiser, older for sure. But, you know, hopefully, right, you know, this can lead to some very, very new structures, you know, new systems, the new forms of, you know, understanding of belief systems, of relationships, of medicine, of healing, of, I mean, wow, wow. It's when the pressure is on and when the heat is on that large strides of growth are made. Let's frickin' do it, yeah? Ow! Like the farmer sowing seeds, I expect my seeds to grow. If they don't, my need to know why is the key that will open the door. May you open the doors of perception this week with Mars square the nodes, Jupiter conjunct Pluto, and Mercury retrograde. Namaste, aloha, so much love.